Alright guys, we're going to talk about another irregular verb today. This one is Fero. And Fero, the principal parts, our principal parts are Fero, Fere, Tuli, Latum, and this means, and your book says to carry or bear. I really prefer to bring. Okay, bear is okay as well. On this line right here, we're going to say Pharaoh doesn't belong to any conjugation, follows its own patterns. Now, I say that, and your book says that, but do know that really it is irregular. It's truly irregular here. Okay? That active present is going to be the most irregular of this. Okay? When you get into the imperfect, indicative, and when you get into the future indicative, it's going to follow third conjugation verbs. Okay? So just, a quick thing for you. All right? So here we go with Pharaoh. So Pharaoh for first singular, and this is I bring. Our second singular is going to be fares. So this is you bring. Third singular is fert. He, she, or it brings. I'm sure I hear some immature laughter all the way over even at my house from that. Your first plural is going to be ferimus. And this is we bring. Not that. Okay. There we go. We bring. Your second plural is fertis. And this is y'all bring. And ferunt. They bring. Okay. So for your subjunctive, okay, for present, you're going to have feram, feras, ferat, feramus, feratis, and ferant. Okay. Now, Pharaoh can be passive. Okay. I am brought. You are brought. So on and so forth. So we're going to have to deal with the passive as well here. So our passive forms for the indicative. Feror. And this is I am brought. Ferris, you are brought. Fertor, he, she, it is brought. Excuse me. Ferrymore. we are brought. Ferimini. Whoops. Y'all are brought. And Feruntor. They are brought. Okay. So if we have passive in the indicative, that means we're going to have passive in the subjunctive. Okay. So here we go. We'll have Ferrar, Ferraris, Ferrator, Ferramor, Ferramini, and Ferramtor. Okay, so there's your present passive, indicative, and subjunctive. Okay, so we're going to move on to our imperfects. And again, I said these are going to work a little more like our third conjugation verbs, okay? So as you look at Fero, you would drop the O, so your stem becomes fair. Remember, with third conjugation, we have to add that E that was in parentheses, and then we add our ending. So for first singular, we would have fairy bomb. So I'm going to say, I was bringing. So for second singular, we would have fairy boss. Third singular is fairy bot. First plural is fairy bamus. And that's we were bringing. Then fairy batis. And fairy bont. And remember that we could have said used to bring or kept bringing. Okay, so let's move over to the subjunctive side. Now remember, the imperfects, you are taking that second principal part. So we're going to take, whoops, I can spell. We're going to take fairy, and we're going to add MST mustis und for the active, and then when we get to the passive, arvis termini unter, okay? So again, I'm taking fairy, and for first singular, I'm adding M. Second singular is feres. We're going to put a macron here. For third singular, we have ferret, which looks like ferret, but it's not. First plural is ferimus. Second plural is ferretis. And third plural is ferent. Okay, so moving on to the passive. Again, we're going to take, for this one we have the fair, F-E-R, and we added the E, and then our passive imperfect ending. So now we have fairy bar, okay, which is I was brought. So for second singular, you would have fairy baris, and this would be you were brought. We're going to have fairy bator for third singular. And this one is going to be he, she, or it was brought. All right, moving to the plural, we'll have Fairy Bamor. And we were brought. We'll have Fairy Bomini. There we go. Y'all were brought. And then Fairy Bontor. They were brought. Okay. Moving on to those subjunctive imperfects. Again, we're taking that faire and we're going to add R. So we have ferrer. For second singular, we have ferreris. For third singular, we have ferretor. For first plural, we have ferremor. Second plural is ferremini. And third plural is ferentor. Okay, so there's present, there's imperfect. So let's move on to future. Okay, future. Remember, the future does not exist in the subjunctive. So these will go a little quicker because we only have to do an active and a passive. All right, so for first singular, and remember I said that for the imperfect forms of sum and not sum, Pharaoh, imperfect of Pharaoh, future of Pharaoh, they really do follow that third conjugation pattern. Okay, so for first singular on the future active, we're going to have Pharam. And so this is I will bring. Second singular is Phares. And this is you will bring. Third singular is Pharet. And this is he, she, or it will bring. We will have Pharemus. We will bring. Pharetus. Y'all will bring. And Pharent. They will bring. Okay. Now, I want you to take a look at these forms. Okay. Just kind of keep your notes right there. And we're going to go back. And I want to look at the subjunctive imperfect forms of Pharaoh. With the exception of first singular here, if you've got your notes in front of you, you can see that these forms that I just highlighted are almost identical to these that we just did down here. Okay? And the difference is that your future only has one R. Okay? That your future only has one R. Okay? So again, we talk a lot about sometimes you have to pay very close attention to the form that is used. Is the macron in a different place? What have you. This happens to be that there's two R's in one of the forms, but only one R in different forms. So just be very careful, okay? All right, let's move on to the future passive. And so I'm not going to go back, but let me just tell you that the future passive and the imperfect passive for the subjunctive will do about the same thing, all right? So just be careful. Be very, very careful. All right, here we go. So we have Ferrar, and so this is I will be brought. We will have Ferreris, and this is you will be brought. We will have Ferretor, and this is he, she, or it will be brought. First plural is Fero more. We will be brought. Feremini. Y'all will be brought. And then Ferentor. They will be brought. Okay. So we're going to move into perfect now. Okay. So going back, okay, I just want to remind you that we're going to need our third and fourth principal parts from this point on. Okay. So going back, just reviewing real quick, here are the principal parts of Fero, okay? And we're going to be using mainly the third and the fourth right here, okay? So going to perfect active indicative, we're going to have Tuli, and so this is I brought, Tulisti, and this is you brought, Tulit, he, she, or it brought, Tulimus, we brought, Tulistis, y'all brought, and Tulerunt. And so this would be they brought. Okay. Remember, you can also say, we could also have said has or have brought, or even did bring. Okay. Those two would be acceptable as well. All right. So going on to our perfect active subjunctive. Okay, we're still taking Tuli right here. We're going to drop that I, so our stem is tool, and then we're going to add irim. For second singular, we'll have tuleris. Third singular, tulerit. First plural is tulerimus. Second plural is tuleritis. And third plural is tulerint. All right. So now we're going to move on to passive. And remember I told you we now need that fourth principal part. Okay. So we're going to make this masculine. You know, I always kind of rotate through, so we'll make this one masculine. So we're not going to have here. We're going to have latus. And then on the plural side, we're not going to have us, but we're going to have e. Okay, and so some of you have not been making that change from the singular to plural. So make sure that you're doing that. All right, so we have latus sum. I have been brought. We're going to have latus es. You have been brought. Latus est. Now, normally for third singular, we have said he, she, or it. But now we're only going to put he because we made this masculine. Okay, so he has been brought. Okay, so remember now we're taking latus and we need to make it masculine plural. So we're going to drop the us and we're going to add an I with a macron. Okay, and these are all 2 words long. Make sure. I run out of room, so I have to squinch a little bit, and you probably will too, and I apologize for that, but I was trying to keep things the same. So we have been brought. lati estis. Y'all have been brought. And lati sunt. Okay, and that's they have been brought. Okay, now, do you want me to show you a trick? Okay, so we're actually going to use that first part in the exact same place over here on the subjunctive side. So I have latus, okay, all here on the singular side, and it's our form of sum that changes, okay? On the plural side, we're going to have lati, okay? We're going to have lati. So again, it's our form of sum that changes. So we're going to, on this side, because it's subjunctive, we're going to our subjunctive forms of sum. So we're going to have latus sim, latus sis, latus sit, latissimus, latisitis, and latisint. Okay? All right, moving on to pluperfect. Okay? Again, for our active, we need tuli. All right? We're going to drop our I here for the indicative side. So we have tuleram, I had brought. Second singular will be tuleras. You had brought. Third singular, tulerat. He, she, or it had brought. First plural is tulerammus. And we have brought. We'll have tuleratis for second plural. Y'all had brought. And third plural is going to be tolerant. They had brought. Okay. And Kevin is talking to me. So for the subjunctive side, okay, we are taking tuli. Okay. Now, we are not going to have the macron over the I, so let's just get rid of that. Okay. We're going to take tuli and we're going to add SSE and then we're going to add an ending. Okay. So, tulisem, tulises, tuliset, tulisemus, tulisetis, and tulisent. Okay, so there's our active pluperfects. Okay, let's move on to the passive pluperfects. This time we'll make it feminine. So we're going to take latum. Okay, and again we need to make it feminine. So we're going to have lata, which means that on the plural side we're going to have latai. All right, so we'll have lata eram. I had been brought. Okay. Second singular, lata eras. And you had been brought. Lata erat. And remember, this we made feminine, so we're just going to use she. She had been brought. First plural, and again, we're going to latai now, all right? So I'm going to have latai éramos, and we had been brought. We're going to have latai eratus, and y'all had been brought. And latai erant, and they had been brought. Okay. All right. So we're going to do like we did last time. Remember I told you that the first word is going to move straight over to that same spot on the subjunctive side. Okay. So we're going to have lata, and now we're moving to the imperfect subjunctive forms of sum. Okay, so lata esen, lata eses, lata eset, excuse me, I had to stop for some water. Latai esemos, latai esetis. Sorry, guys. And latai essent. All right. So there are only a few left. This is exciting. Okay. So, yep, that's it. Okay. So for future perfect active, we're using tuli. And then down here for the future perfect of passive, we're using latum. Okay, and I'm going to remind you that, again, there's no future perfect in the subjunctive. Okay? So again, we're going to take tuli. We're going to drop that I, so we have tulero. I will have brought. Tuleris. You will have brought. Tulerit. He, she, or it will have brought. Sorry, I had to correct a cat. First plural. Tulerimus. We will have brought. Tuleritis. Y'all will have brought. And tolerant. They will have brought. All right, last one. We can do it. We're going to leave it neuter. So latum is going to be for singular, and lata will be for plural. Okay? So we're going to have latum ero. I will have been brought. I'm going to stop right there just for a second. And I want to let you know I hate how long the future perfect passive translation is. I hate it. But it's the only thing that makes sense. So we move on. Okay. Next is latum eris, and that's you will have been brought. Latum erit, it will have been brought. Lata erimos, we will have been brought. Lata eritis, y'all will have been brought. And last but not least is lata erunt. They will have been brought. All right, there is Fero. I did not give you the participles, the infinitives, the imperatives. We'll talk about that next week, okay? I miss you guys. I hope you're doing okay. Bye.